What's up, music fans of the internet? I'm Derek,
I'm Kevin.
and we're last week's album. We're bringing you two opinions on the best new music. And today we're talking about Django and Jimmie by Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard, and asking the big question, are these outlaw country legends still as great as they ever were? But before we go any further, we're going to start things off like we always do, drinking a beer. Cheers, Kevin. Cheers, everyone at home.
Cheers, Derek, Willie, Merle, everyone at home.
Nice. Thanks for correcting me there. So this one, as I kind of mentioned earlier, features Willie Nelson and Merle Haggard, country music fame. And the album title is presumably a tribute to Django Reinhardt and Jimmie Rodgers, who were very influential to Willie and Merle, respectively. This is their fourth collaboration together, their first being Pancho Lefty in 1983, Seashores of Old Mexico in 1987, and The Last of the Breed in 2007, which was also recorded with Ray Price. And I thought this was really interesting in that this album was recorded in 3 days' time, as they really kind of discussed what material they wanted to include and how that would be executed a lot on the front end, because 15 tracks here, there's still a considerable amount of material, and let's face it, these guys aren't getting any younger. So without any further ado, let's talk about what it sounds like. Kevin, why don't you kick us off?
Sure. I think Django and Jimmie sounds like a gray-headed stranger and an oldie from Muskogee create a modern-day Pancho and Lefty.
Dude, I like it. All right. I think Django and Jimmie sounds like Willie and Merle do their best Merle and Willie impressions, respectively. Point goes to you, sir. So, key tracks, what did you have?
I'm going with number 3, Unfair Weather Friend. What about you?
Such a great song title. I'm going with It's Only Money, the 9th track. So, why don't you start us off?
Sure. Unfair Weather Friend starts with these sort of slow, galloping drum brushes. Then we get some pining electric guitar, moody steel guitar, dramatic piano, lonesome harmonica later in the song, and Willie's classic sort of acoustic jazz picking. It's a ballad to the friend you run to when you really need help, and they always open you with open arms. Welcome you with open arms, excuse me. And while it wasn't written by either of these legends, you'd never know because they deliver it straight from the heart, as they tend to do, even with songs that aren't written by themselves. And overall, it's just a great, slow country ballad, which has become a bit of a lost art nowadays. So really dug it for that sort of overall throwback, old school country feel. But tell us about yours, Derek.
Kevin, It's Only Money is kind of the opposite of a ballad. This one's much more of a barn burner. There's a rumbling electric guitar, restless piano, and a steady driving snare drum beat. In the second verse, I thought it was interesting because some of the guitars drop out and the piano gets much more playful. And even this continues in the second chorus where there's a saxophone line that kind of plays a repeating melody to some of the vocals there. Overall, lyrically, Willie and Merle exchange verses downplaying the loss of cash. And one line I really liked, he says, well, it's only money, it will go away. It's always change in pockets, and it'll get back to mine someday. And I thought this is great because it could be interpreted as it's only change in pockets or it's changing pockets. And I just thought that was fantastic. However I interpret it, it was probably the wrong way. That's a lot to say. Overall, I just thought it was a great song and some really fantastic lyrics there. This one I know Willie at least co-wrote, so that's why I went with it for key track here. So that brings us to best lyric, although, man, I just, spoke to a really good one. Kevin, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, and to echo that sentiment, Derek, I thought the exact same thing about how clever that line was with that turn of phrase, and you can interpret it either way. However, I'm going to go with a line from the song Live This Long, and it's a pretty fun number where they're sort of talking about they would have taken better care of themselves had they known they would live this long. And the line in particular, they say, we're in pretty good shape for the shape we're in. We'll keep rocking along until we're gone. And, you know, they're clearly doing that. They're both on either side of 80 nowadays and still rocking strong. So that's why I chose that one. What about you, Derek?
That's good. I'm taking one from the track "The Only Man Wilder Than Me." Obviously, I can't recall right off the top of my head who they're describing, but you know, one of the late greats that they you know, partied with along the line. And he says, if he ever really cared, he'd apologize. Indifference has kept his mind free. He knows yesterday is dead and tomorrow is blind. So just really insightful lyrics here. And, you know, again, you're kind of harking, you just mentioned there kind of some of the wisdom they're leaving here. That one I thought was also a gem that couldn't go unnoticed. So that brings us to overall rating. And the big question, are these outlaw country legends still as great as they ever were? Kevin, again, why don't you start us off?
Sure. I will start with answering the big question. Are they as great as they ever were? I think absolutely. Merle is 78 years old. Willie is 82 years old. And they're still making albums with new material. I'd be hard-pressed to find another artist who's still around and still performing and still touring on top of that. So I think you can hear the age in their voices a little bit on this record. But to me, that only makes the songs cut deeper. Overall rating, I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5. I thought the thematic delivery is on point. They're surprisingly agile with their vocals and delivery, whether they're hearkening to Johnny Cash's style or Jimmie Rodgers' style, or sort of doing their own version of each other's style, which is a lot of fun. They sing together and apart, each sort of reveling in their own style, yet gelling really, really nicely. You know, Merle is known for his Bakersfield sound. Willie's known for his Texas outlaw sound, and they still merge together really, really nicely. And I didn't ever think we'd get another record with these two together, so I'm just thrilled that we're able to even review this album. For me personally, you know, having grown up with listening to these two legends. So there you have it, 4 out of 5. What do you think, Derek?
Kevin, I'm going to agree with you on like all those points. I totally thought the way they played off each other, especially covering each other's songs, you know, I thought that was great. To answer the question still, yes, absolutely. And especially just looking at strictly from kind of a quote unquote outlaw country status. Yes, especially with It's All Going to Pot and Missing Old Johnny Cash. Even though the former was, you know, a covers, similar, I think Jamie Johnson was involved with that, but you know, they didn't write that specifically, but still really funny. The stories about Johnny Cash in Missing Old Johnny Cash are fantastic, further reinforcing their outlaw status. You don't want to miss that one. Yeah, vocal delivery is great, even on the Bob Dylan song they did there. So I'm going 4 out of 5 as well. I thought you had all the points, so yeah. That's all I got.
Right on. So that would be a collective 8 out of 10 for most.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. So definitely check this one out. Let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, and don't forget to subscribe to last week's album, where we'll be bringing you 2 opinions on the best new music. And as always, I'm Derek.
I'm Kevin. Cheers, guys.
Till next time. Cheers.